Hello, this is Jeannie Cisco-Meth. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am a two-time best-selling author and professional speaker and mentor. And so if you don't know who I am, that gives you a little bit of information. You can also Google my name. My last name is Cisco-Meth, and I am the only Cisco-Meth on the internet. It's spelled just like computers and drugs. So Cisco-Meth, and this is my little blanket. So I utilize that as I start getting cold. And then this is a picture of my gorgeous husband that got bumped by my chair. That's me and my husband with our I Love My Life t-shirts on. And I know that you guys are joining me today because you saw a video on Facebook or you received an email inviting you to this training. Today we're going to be talking about emotions and how to manage them, and specifically words. Maybe you saw my video that talked about the alphabet, and so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you, and I'm going to share my PowerPoint. So let me go ahead and pull that up, and you should be able to see my slideshow here. Can you guys see this? Hopefully, yes. Okay, perfect. There is a raise your hand feature. Should be at the bottom of your screen, whether you're on your phone or your computer. If you tap the picture, a little raise your hand button will pop up, and you can go ahead and hit that. If you have any questions or comments, then I can unmute you and we can share a bit of a story. So today you're meeting with me, Jeannie Cisco-Meth. Melissa Ramos and Philip Ramos are my upline in doTERRA. And so they are just phenomenal people as well. But today we're going to be talking about essential oils and what they mean, how they can manage your emotions. Now, I speak English fairly well, not phenomenally well, but fairly well. And if you get 26 letters in the alphabet, and you take those letters and you make words. And then those words, you can create sentences. And in those sentences, you can create paragraphs and then stories. So my question to you today is, how do you define who you are? Take these 26 letters, you get as many of them as you want, as many times as you want to use them, but use these 26 letters and talk about who you are. You'll see the three questions or the three prompts right here. I am, my partner is, the world is. I want you to just take a moment and write that out, or at least think about it. If you're not sure, if you can pull over, great. If you can't, but if you're driving, please just think about it. I am tall, I'm a mother, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a speaker. I could go on, right? There's many roles that fit in there. You could also say, I am happy, I'm excited, I'm exuberant, I'm vital, vibrant, and alive. Or you could say, I'm sad, I'm sick, I'm in pain, I hate my life. Or you could say, I love my life. Another day of opportunities. One thing that I say every morning is, thank you, God, for another day to become the person you see in me. It's pretty important. My partner is sexiest man in the world. Oh, I'm just saying. He's phenomenal. I love my husband. And sometimes he irritates me, just like I irritate him. But we get back to loving one another very, very quickly. Well, we never fall out of love. We get back to deeply loving one another. And it's our words that help us get there. If I constantly look at the mistakes and the frustrations that are caused from having someone in my life, because people come with stuff, right? They don't always think alike. We don't always want to do the same thing. And so there can be some frustration or some friction. And if I constantly focus on those, then that list gets longer. But if I focus on the fact that he's the sexiest man alive, in my opinion, and if I focus on the fact that he's a hard worker and he loves me and he protects me and he cares for me, my love for him grows deeper, brings us closer together. So what words are you choosing to identify or talk about your partner, your kids, your job, things that are in your life? And then the world is it scary? Are you afraid of it? Unsure? I don't know. How do you define it? I think the world is full of opportunities. I think the world is full of abundance. I think the world is incredible. It's going through change. It's getting better. It's improving. There are so many people stepping forward and saying, hey, we can help. I want to help. And they're not just helping, but they're teaching others how to do better for themselves as well. They're giving hand ups, not handouts. So that's some of the way I define these. What are some of the way you define yours? Now I know that some people say the world is scary. I'm afraid. I'm afraid to go outside, or I'm afraid I'm not protected. Those things are what lead us into what we're going to be talking about today with the limbic brain. We have the neocortex, which is your rational thinking, processing. It's what we think of when we think of the brain. It's what we're aware of, and then many things we're not aware of. But this is where thoughts, processing, rational thought comes from. Then we have the limbic brain, which is all about fight or flight or freeze. There's a freeze moment, and then you go into fight or flight. These are the two main parts. We're specifically going to be focusing on the limbic brain today. And then we're going to be talking about the prefrontal cortex, which is this part right here of the neocortex. Now this is, you can see all of the neocortex. The limbic brain is buried deep inside, right up above the nose, or as some people say, the olfactory nerves. I like to keep it simple, right up above the nerves for the nose. And that's why doTERRA is so important and why it works. Now, the main functions of the limbic brain are survival. It helps you survive. It wants to avoid pain, and it seeks pleasure. Those are the three things that it does: survive, seek pleasure, avoid pain. And so let's say that you fall asleep in the evening with the news on. What's the news about? Pain. Everything is pain. People are dying, they're committing murders, they're going to jail, there's crashes, there's flooding, all kinds of stuff. And so what happens is when your limbic brain is switched on, so to speak, because it's afraid, then your prefrontal cortex, this part right here where you're thinking, rational decision making, shuts down. You cannot have both systems online at the same time. Now you can learn to override your limbic brain by using very specific steps and tools. But first of all, you need to become aware of it. So many people are not even aware that they're in limbic brain because they think they're just fine. They're functioning just fine. But they do things that are irrational to the thinking, processing mind. Let's say you're driving to work and you get cut off on the road. You immediately go into limbic mind because your body, your mind says, I got to survive. And so it's scared. It immediately reacts. You may start breathing faster. You may get flustered. Your palms may start to sweat, depending on how far it goes. Then it can lead to road rage. I'm sure you've seen all those videos, just like I have. Road rage that is just out of control. That's people living in their limbic brain. They're not thinking. Or you walk in from work in the evening, your spouse has made you a wonderful meal, you smell it and you're like, oh, that smells good. Guess what? You just went into your limbic brain because you're smelling that, you're seeking that pleasure, you're going after it. And then all of a sudden your spouse says, oh no, this is for the neighbor. Somebody's in the hospital or they're sick, and so I'm taking them a meal. Guess what? You go up another level in your limbic brain, because now you want to avoid pain. You want that. So there are levels in your limbic brain that, or we should say depths in your limbic brain that you go to that shut the prefrontal cortex off more and more and make it more and more difficult for you to think. That's what happens between the limbic brain and the prefrontal cortex. Now, what I want to show to you is, let's talk a little bit about the flow of information and how it comes in and how it can cause difficulties with processing when you're in your limbic brain, how it can become jammed up, so to speak. So these are our 5 senses that we typically know about. We have sight, touch, taste, smell, and hear. Now, those are the main senses that everybody knows about. We also have the sense of hunger. We also have the sense of where my body is in space. We also have the sense of feeling, when you touch my skin. I have the sense not only of my hand touching it, but the sense on the skin as well. I know if it's cold or hot. I know if my nose is tickling. So in a minute, we have roughly 11 million bits of information that are coming in. 11 million bits of information that are coming in per minute through just our senses. Sight, sound, feelings in our body, all of that. And what happens is that leads into what we call the RAS, which is the reticular activating system. The RAS is the reticular activating system, and I don't want to try and write out reticular activating system. So we're just going to use the RAS. And the RAS decides what to pay attention to and what not to pay attention to. Now, if I'm in limbic brain, then I'm worried about being alive, seeking pleasure, and avoiding pain. So I'm going to pay attention to different information than if I'm thinking and processing rationally. So this is very important. Usually, the RAS, if we're calmed down, we see things, we process information. Let's say I'm sitting here in my office and I hear a dog barking outside. My limbic brain goes, wait, what is it? Are we okay? It's like, oh yeah, it's a dog outside down the street. I'm just fine. Okay. And then I calm down and I go back into my rational brain and I'm able to process and move forward. And let's say that all of a sudden, though, my dog comes running into my office, barking and freaking out. And I'm like, whoa, okay, I got to do something about that. So our attention is paid. It depends on what part of our brain we're in, whether we're in limbic or rational brain, as to what we pay attention to. Now, from there, it flows into learning and memory. If I am calm and relaxed and in my prefrontal cortex, I can learn very easily. So I was a high school teacher for 17 years, and I dealt with kids at an alternative high, which means they were in gangs. Many of them used drugs. Many of them were parents. Many of them were in the system. And so they had a hard time learning if they came to school in the morning hungry, or they had just gotten in a fight with their parents or their case manager or their foster parents, or there was a problem at their group home. Why? Because they were in limbic brain. The limbic brain does not store and learn information. Only the neocortex does. So we'd have to calm that limbic brain down so that they could learn. And then you have memory. Once, as you're learning, things are stored. I likened it to a computer. So I just finished writing my third book. I saved frequently because as I'm writing my book, that information is just surfacely saved. And as my computer gets shut off, all of that information is lost. The same happens with the brain. If I'm in limbic brain, none of that information is saved. It's all flushed. If I'm in my neocortex and I'm thinking and I'm processing, then that information can be moved into long-term storage. Short-term storage is lost all of the time. So people who have problems with thinking or learning or processing information can have real problems with long-term memory. I have a friend who just out of high school, he was his first year of college, had a brain injury, and he had no short-term memory. From that moment forward, he couldn't remember anything, even though it had been a number of years. Now he's doing much better now, but for a long time he had no memory from after that accident. He could remember everything before, but nothing after. That all has to do with learning and memory. And then our thinking skills. Again, that has to be neocortex. That has to be prefrontal cortex. All of that is thinking skills. And so if my limbic brain is online, clear down here in attention, these higher two problems or these higher two functions don't happen. There's a problem because the limbic brain short circuits them and is only worried about survival, avoiding pain, and seeking pleasure. That's the problem because information isn't getting all the way through. So if you find yourself reacting to a lot of things, or you're sensitive to information, or somebody says something and you fly off the handle, you have a short fuse, any of those analogies, that means that you're living in limbic brain. You've got to do something to calm it down. If you're not sleeping very well, that's another problem. If you're not sleeping, let me get rid of this. Oops, I forgot that. Hang on just a minute. I forgot that when I use my annotator, it stays there. Okay, so what can contribute to cognitive problems, which is fancy words to what impairs any part of that process that we just learned about. Pain takes the higher load, takes much more bandwidth, so to speak, in our brain. If we have any pain at all, that absorbs part of our bandwidth for thinking and processing. If I'm not sleeping well, then again, that takes up bandwidth for our mind to be able to function. Worry or stress, medical conditions, any of these things, reduced activity, dietary habits. What are you eating? When you eat, when are you eating, and what are you eating? So all of these things play a role in the ability of the mind to process information properly. The more of these problems that you have, the more you're living in your limbic brain. Do you have pain? Are you not able to sleep? Are you stressed out? Do you have maybe diabetes? Are you not active? Any of these things can play a role, plus many more, but these are the main ones that play a role in your ability to think and process information. Now, what I want to do is I want to show you this video right quick, and it is an absolutely phenomenal, in my opinion. Let me go back to, let me share this screen so that you can see what is happening. Just a minute here. Here it is. Okay, so if you can see this, raise your hand. Okay, thanks. Good. So this is an image of what Dr. Snyder calls taking out the trash. When you sleep at night, remember I told you you have things that are moved into long-term memory and things then the short-term, whatever's left over is flushed. There's a lot of garbage that comes in. The dog barking outside down the street, that is stored in my memory. And well, my short-term memory, what I had for breakfast, anything that happens, 11 million bits of information, all of that is stored during the day. And then at night, the brain says, okay, what's important? Let's move that to long-term memory. What isn't important, let's flush it. And so Dr. Snyder calls it taking out the trash. And this is a picture of when someone is sleeping, the body doing exactly that. Now, this is a really long art, well, not really long, but it's a great article that I highly recommend if you get a chance that you read. It's just phenomenal information. Now, I don't have enough time to go into it today, but I want you to look at this. That's your brain taking out the trash when you sleep. Now, if it is impaired, if your brain is impaired, then you're not going to be able, oops, hang on here. I've got to go back. I did it wrong. I clicked the wrong button. Just a minute. Let me go back here and then start the slideshow again. Oops, it went backwards. Oops, there we go. Okay, so if you're not sleeping, or if you've got pain, or you've got things that are impairing your body's ability to move that trash out, to get rid of the garbage input that has come in, your brain overloads and it doesn't function properly. So if you're not sleeping very well, which a lot of people are not because of anxiety, because of problems that are happening, pain, again, we come back to that, then you don't think and process information properly. Now, here are just some oils, and I talk only about doTERRA oils because doTERRA oils, in my opinion, is the purest form that they have. In fact, they've had third-party testing done, and it shows that doTERRA oils are 100% pure, and they are certified therapeutic grade. You get what you pay for. Yeah, you may walk through Walmart and go, wait a minute, there's an essential oil right there. I can buy it much cheaper. There's a lot of fillers in those oils. I don't want to be putting some contaminated chemical in my body, not when I'm trying to make sure that I stay healthy and well. I also have a friend who was using a different skincare for her face, and it started burning her face. She said, Jeannie, I've used it, but now it's burning my face. And it was not doTERRA. She thinks they changed what they were cutting the system with, or cutting the process, the lotion and the cleanser and stuff with. And so I talked to her about doTERRA, and I sent her a sample, and she said, Jeannie, I can already smell the difference. It smells different than what I was using. She's been using that now for about 4 or 5 months and has had absolutely no problem, has cleaned up the burns on her face, and is doing very, very well. And I've used, Sunday, it's Tuesday. Sunday, I started getting a little bit of a sore throat. And so I started taking On Guard. I was diffusing On Guard. And then I was also diffusing Breathe and utilizing Breathe specifically by breathing it in, because I was having some difficulty breathing. You may be able to still hear it in my voice a little bit, or in my, and I had a cough. And then last night I had some aches and pains showing up. And so I take my Breathe and I put a drop in my hand. I rub my hands. And I breathe it in and I hold it into my lungs. I can also breathe it in through my nose. And I hold it for a little bit and then I breathe it out. And I can actually feel the breathe clearing my passages. And I can breathe deeper. I can breathe better. Breathing is important. And if you're having difficulty breathing, when you get nervous or scared or upset, your breathing can become very shallow. If you just take a deep breath or a couple of deep breaths and say, I'm okay. It's all right. I'm safe. I'm protected. Then your limbic brain can calm down. Move with slow, deliberate movements. Maybe do some push-ups, go for a walk. Those are all things that you can do to manage stress, to manage your limbic brain so you can bring your prefrontal cortex back online. Now people ask me, Jeannie, how do I know that they work for the emotional side of the oils? Well, I know they work for the emotional side because they work for the physical side. And so if Breathe helps me breathe better, and I feel it immediately because I've been coughing and I use Breathe and then I don't cough, I know it's working. Melaleuca, they now call it tea tree, but Melaleuca has healed folliculitis for me many times. I get it from my hot tub. I still haven't figured out what I'm doing wrong. I went to the doctor, so I had this red rash, and I used Melaleuca and a lotion and healed it within a day. And then I got it again about a week later. I'm like, what? Healed it again. Then I got it again. And I'm like, okay, maybe I better go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor and he says, do you have a hot tub? And I said, yeah, I do. And he says, you have folliculitis. And every time you get in the hot tub, you're reinfecting yourself. I was like, oh, okay. So he gave me a lotion, a prescription for the rash. And so I put his lotion, the medicine on one side, and the Melaleuca lotion on the other side. Hang on just a second. And with 2 days later, I just started using Melaleuca all over. The Melaleuca heals it. It takes the itch out within about 2 minutes. And then by the next day, the rash is gone and it's healed. But his, 2 days later, I was still using it and it was still itching. And I said, oh, I'm not doing this anymore. So I used the Melaleuca and healed it. My daughter had an ear infection. We healed that. And so because it does the things, because I was getting sick. And in the past, when I didn't have doTERRA, I would have gotten very sick and been down for probably 4 or 5 days. But with the doTERRA, I've still been able to do my work. I'm here on this call with you guys. That's how I know. Each oil also has an emotional side. That's what's in this book right here. Love this book. I have 2 books. One book talks about the physical side effects or the physical effects of the doTERRA. So when I was getting sick, I went and got my book. Then I opened it up and I said, what do I need? And it says On Guard and Melaleuca and Breathe. And so that's what I've been using. Now, Melaleuca, I take in a veggie cap because I don't like the taste of Melaleuca. So I would take the veggie cap and I would put, so these are the veggie caps. Oops, I dropped one. They're just these little capsules. And I would put 3 to 4 drops of On Guard, 3 to 4 drops of Melaleuca, put it back together and swallow it. And then I don't have to taste the melaleuca. Now, there are some that I really like the taste of, like wild orange. I put that in my drink all the time. I don't think I have wild orange right here. Lavender. Now, this is Lavender Touch. I use this if I work too long and I don't take a break. I start getting a headache. I roll it on my temples and one over my forehead. And then in 5 seconds, my headache's gone. So you can see I have all of these oils right here. Now, some of them I brought in specifically for today. I have my little diffuser. This is Balance. I use Balance every single day in the morning. I put 3 drops in my hand, and then I put them on the bottoms of my feet. Why? Because it helps ground me. It helps calm down my limbic brain. And then I do better during the day. And at night, I take Serenity. I take some Serenity pills. I didn't bring those in, but I take Serenity pills, and I also take a Deep Blue. So I take 2 Deep Blue pills a day, one in the morning and one in the evening, because I have arthritis. And now I'm like pain-free. I can move. For a while, I was having some real difficulty. This shoulder hurt so bad that I couldn't put any weight on it at all. I started using Deep Blue. It's healed. Well, the pain's gone, because I can't say that Deep Blue healed my shoulder because of regulatory issues, but I can say this shoulder had a lot of pain in it. I put Deep Blue on it and the pain is gone. Okay? So that's just some of the things that I use for physical issues with my life. And then I look at the emotional side of it. So I want to talk to you about balance, because it's something that I use all of the time. I use it every day, and I have for some time now. And so, Brave. So I'm looking at all these things: Brave, Breathe, Beautiful. All of these are oils. My husband, Beautiful is a blend. My husband made me the Beautiful blend, and I use it. I love it. It's awesome. So Balance is primarily a combination of tree oils and roots. Trees live in the present moment. They are not in a hurry. They are stable. Balance's soft energy is excellent for calming overactive children who have difficulty settling down. It is also a wonderful remedy for those who need to reconnect with their roots. Balance strengthens a connection with the lower body and with the earth. These connections are especially important when the upper faculties have been overused due to excessive thinking, speaking, or spiritual activity. And then it goes on. So remember when we were talking about the limbic brain, how it shuts off our prefrontal cortex? Balance helps calm the limbic brain down and bring my prefrontal cortex back online, so I can think, so I can process, so I can have a better, more relaxed life. Now, they have roller balls like this, specifically blended for children. Small children, if you put Balance directly on them, is a little bit too much. So they've made they took Balance and diluted it a little bit, and it's called Calmer. And I was at a presentation. I was doing a presentation in my sister's home the other day, and she had a grandson that was so hyper. Oh my gosh, he was so hyper. And they put some on his neck because he was kicking and screaming, and usually the best place is on the bottoms of the feet, but he was kicking and screaming, so they put some on his neck, and within about 3 minutes he was calm, and he was playing with his toys. It was a total transformation. I was like, oh my gosh, holy moly. And I was talking to her last night, and I'm like, that was so profound. She's like, yeah, they do that all the time. As soon as he comes in, they rub it on the bottom of his feet, and he's calm. Like, whoa, I had not seen it work that fast before. And I have many other people that can give you witnessing stories as well. But I was totally blown away by that. So what I know is that whatever doTERRA says it will do, it does. Because I've seen many, many examples evidenced. And so I wanted to read Breathe right quick, just because breathe is something that I use every morning. When I was younger, I had a malignant chest wall tumor removed, and I've always had difficulties with my lungs. And so it used to be every winter I would get this horrendous cough, and it would last all winter long. And every morning I would get up and just cough and cough and cough, and it would sound like I was hacking up a lung. And we had some friends here one time, and I was getting ready in the bathroom. My husband was out making breakfast, and I was doing my morning routine of my horrible cough. And they were like, is your wife okay? And he's like, yeah, she does this every morning. She's okay. And this year, nope, haven't had it. I haven't had it. Why? Because I use Breathe every morning. I know that this has made the difference. I'm not saying it'll make a difference for you. I just know it's made a difference for me. This winter, I've not been sick and coughing every single morning. Now, I did get a slight cold. In the past, that would have taken me out for a week. Wow, this stuff is good. This stuff is good. So the emotional side of Breathe is Breathe addresses the inability to let go of grief and pain. Individuals in need of Breathe struggle to breathe and literally feel suffocated by sadness. The lungs and air passages become constricted, preventing air and emotion from releasing. The root of this condition is feeling unloved. Individuals grieve the love they never received. They often shut down due to fear, not knowing whether the love they need will be there. They distrust whether it's safe to open and take in life. Breathe encourages individuals to release grief and sadness and to receive genuine love and healing. And then it continues to go on. So I'm taking Breathe because I'm having difficulty breathing, but I'm also getting the emotional benefits from it as well. They have a kit with doTERRA called exactly that, the Emotional Wellness Kit. And there are 6 oils in it, and it has cheer, passion, and motivate. Yeah, we need those, right? And then it has 3 that are for letting go. It has console, peace, and forgive. That was the second kit that I bought. The very first kit I bought back in October of 2018 was the Natural Solutions kit, and it had a bunch of oils, and it had toothpaste, it had shampoo and conditioner, it had soap, it had all kinds of things that I don't think I would have tried had I not bought in the kit. The biggest thing that we use out of there is the LLV, Lifelong Vitality Pack, and we use that every single day. And we have since October into November. I got the kit sometime in October and started using it. Now, I don't like to promote something that I haven't tried, and so I'm always the guinea pig first. And so I started taking the LLV in October, and in January, because last year I didn't have much sickness, I felt much better. Oh man, it was incredible. So in January, I got my whole family on them. And then I got a check in the mail. I didn't even know that you got paid for this. I was like, oh my gosh, I get better health, I get to help others, and I make money? Whoa, this is phenomenal. Now, I didn't start telling everybody at that time. I didn't start doing webinars like I am right now because I was still kind of testing it. Now, I do doTERRA all of the time. I do not market my speaking engagements anymore. I just work with people on doTERRA. Why? Because doTERRA does what it says it will do. And I could give you example after example after example. But I don't have time for all of that. But you can absolutely reach out to me and ask me for some support. I want to go ahead and go back to the PowerPoint. So wild orange is the oil of abundance. Lime, I love putting lime in my drink, lemon and lime both. The citruses are cleansers, detoxers. Of course, there's my Breathe, cinnamon. I love to diffuse cinnamon. Cinnamon is a protective oil because it's a bark, and so it helps me feel protected emotionally, has a lot of physical sides as well. Serenity and lavender help me sleep. So does vetiver. Vetiver is a root, and it helps ground you. My son uses it every night to help him sleep. Calm does exactly what it says it's going to do. It helps calm the brain down, calm down that limbic brain. Peace, forgive. Who doesn't need more forgiveness? I rub it on my heart and it helps me forgive myself because I am so self-critical. That's what I talk about, taming the bully between your ears. I still have to manage my mind, and I use an oil that helps me. That's what it does. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about how to get started with me because I want you to have these in your home. I want you to calm the limbic brain so that you can have a better, higher functioning life. People who live only in their limbic brain have a very low functioning life because they're not thinking, they're not making good decisions, they're having problems. My students lived 90 to 95% of their day in their limbic brain. That's how they wound up in the situation that they did. And so I want better for you. I want better for my family. I want better for me. I want to think and process and make clear decisions. So these are some of the options that you can get started with. If you make any purchase at all today. Now, I have time right after this, so please get in touch with me right after this. Send me a message in the chat or raise your hand, or if you're watching the replay of this, make sure you get in touch with me, either through email or text or through the Facebook group, whatever, and we can get these products to you, and I can help you get signed up. So this is for new customers only. Those of you that are already in my group have already received a lot of these. So I believe in giving people, I don't like being that person that signs up and then the next week they offer incentives that I didn't get. That upsets me. So I want you to know that my team who has joined me in this has received these things, okay? So any purchase today at all, you get a copy of my best-selling book, Bullyproofing You. Now you will have to pay for shipping if you're not in the immediate area and we can't meet and I can't give it to you. Or you can also, that's with any purchase. Now if you do a purchase of 100 PV, which would be your lifelong vitality pack, that would be, you would get a book as well as an I Love My Life t-shirt. And then you can also, if you do an order of 125 PV, then you also get a roller ball of Mama's Love. And I want to tell you about this special blend that has been made specifically for my team. And Mama's Love has cinnamon bark in it and some other things to help you feel protected and to tame that bully between your ears. When my son was little and he was going to school, he didn't always like it, right? School can be hard. And I would make him some cinnamon toast in the morning. And this morning, I think he was probably about third grade, and I'm making him some cinnamon toast, and he's like, "Oh, I don't want to go to school." And he was talking about some things that were going on in school that he didn't like. And I said, "Well, guess what, bud? I'm going to put extra love on your toast today." And I put a little bit extra cinnamon sugar on it. And he started calling it Mama's Love. And so I asked him, "Max, what do you want on your toast this morning?" He's like, "I want Mama's Love." I'm like, "Okay, buddy." And so that's where that name came from, Mama's Love. And I know it has cinnamon in it. I don't remember what else it has in it because Melissa Ramos made it for me. She is the blend master, I'm just saying. So if you want the recipe, let me know, especially those of you that are in my team. If you want this blend because you've run out or you want to purchase another one, let me know. and we'll get you that blend recipe or another roller ball. I like having Melissa just make them for me and then me purchase them. Now, recently at our live events, we've done some make and takes, which have just been phenomenal, especially for Christmas gifts, things like that. So if you do 125 PV order, you get the book, you get the t-shirt, and the Mama's Love rollerball. Now, if you do the diamond package, you get a few more other things. That's 200 PV order. And the frankincense, I'm still going to honor this because I know that today is the 16th or the 17th. What is it? It's the 17th. So the order of the frankincense needed to be done by the 15th. And well, I think so. Let me find out. I'll find out. You may, but I will honor this for you. Okay. So you get a bottle of frankincense, which is a $68 value. Plus you get the book, the t-shirt, the Mama's Love. You also get the frankincense. You also get a 2-hour mentoring call with me and a 2-hour mentoring call with my mentor, Kirk Duncan, if you do a 200 PV order today or just whenever you're watching this. But I will find out about the December 15th and we'll talk about that. Now this, in my opinion, is the best order. If you get if you do an order of 125 PV today and you set up an LRP, which is a loyalty rewards program, which takes care of your next month. So my LLV, my Lifelong Vitality Pack, is set up into an LRP, which is Loyalty Rewards Program, and every month it just ships it to me. I don't have to worry about it. It automatically comes. Now I spend more than 125 PV each month because I am constantly consuming the oils and I'm constantly using my veggie caps, I'm using the lotions, I'm using the soaps and all of that. And so, but my minimum LRP is 100 PV. That allows me to get paid. That allows me to make sure everything's taken care of and it just keeps things flowing. When I have a 125 order, I also get a product of the month. This month it is clove, and that comes with it. You also get this book right here, the Essential Oils book, and you also get the Essential Life book, which has to do with the physical side of it. That is, you will get these two books once you have set up your LRP and processed it next month. So if you sign up with me today, I'll get the Bullyproofing You book and the I Love My Life t-shirt on the way to you immediately. And then you also get the Emotions book and the Essential Life book next month when your LRP runs. And then you also will get, if you go up to 200 PV this month and you set up an LRP, you also get a 2-hour mentoring call with me and a 2-hour mentoring call with Kirk. And I will also give you the frankincense as well. So you get these books. I mean, just a ton of value if you do the 200 PV. So I want to open it up for questions. If you don't want to ask a question right now, that's fine. You can get in touch with me later. I know some people are afraid to talk online and some of the information is sensitive. And so that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and give you my phone number right here, 801-735-5746. And I want you to go ahead and reach out to me. Give me a text. Let me know what works for you. We can set up a phone call and I can get on the phone with you. Or we can do another Zoom call so that it's recorded and then you can have it and go over what you want. And so I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for taking your time and being with me today and learning more about oils and how they can help you, learning more about how your brain works and how you can have it work better for you, because it's all about calming the limbic brain and living in our prefrontal cortex. All right. Okay. Thank you so much. Oh, we just had a question pop up. And okay, so she has a daughter who is feeling sick today, has a bit of a fever, and she has oils in her home already. And so what I recommend is, if you're having a fever, I would have to grab my book because I don't know the physical side as much as the emotional side. And so shoot me a text. Let me go back to that to that screen so that you have my phone number. Send me a text and I'm going to go grab my book, and then I'm going to give you a call right back, and we will go over that together. Okay? All right. Thank you so much. Again, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for your time, and you have an absolutely fabulous day. And bye for now.